Hey guys, Matt and V coming at you from Inception Labs. So today, here to not talk about product or anything specific like that, but about fat loss in general.
Yes.
Number one thing that pretty much brings people into the industry, that's where most people start out deciding that they need to buy a supplement or need to start going to the gym, is pretty much to lose a bit of the extra weight.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had experience on this for over a decade, fat loss and what's worked and what hasn't. So sort of take you guys through the truths about, fat loss and why that's happening for you and it may not be happening for you, and give you some tips to basically assist you in your goal.
Things that kind of have and haven't worked for us personally, that haven't worked for customers, people who we've worked with. Like, I've lost track with how many people we've, prepped plans for, trained, worked with, helped with their supplementation over the years, and we know those common pitfalls that a lot of people get into. They diet themselves into a hole where there's no way to go. And I think that's a mistake we've all made at some point. And normally the one that we make very early on, I guess, in our weight loss or training journeys is that people just restrict, and they build up the willpower to be able to restrict calories, and before you know it, you're living off 800, 900 calories a day, and your body stops losing weight. But where'd you go from there?
Exactly.
You literally stop eating. So like a lot of the time it's feeding yourself thin, and there's a lot of times we've prepped plans for people and you give them the food plan, and the first thing they say to you is, I'm going to get fat if I eat this much.
Yeah, too much food, right?
And you just kind of have to say to them, no, stick with it. Let your body reset its homeostasis, and you're going to start to lose weight.
Correct.
But, exercise is a part of it. Hormones are a big part of it. Supplementation can help. It is definitely not the solution. We will never, ever pitch or sell one of our products as being the be-all and end-all of fat loss. It's all about having that set foundation. And even like new research that's coming out that, I was, the metabolic studies I was telling you about with the Maasai warriors, and how, these guys run the equivalent of half a marathon to a marathon a day. And over time, their basal metabolic rate actually corrects to be at a similar level to that of individuals who are sedentary. So our bodies have this great way of adapting. So if you start to starve it through a diet, then our bodies are going to adapt to that, and they're going to get more efficient with that food, and you're not going to lose weight, because fundamentally our bodies want to hold on to fat because it's a survival mechanism.
It's insulin for our body, right? So it's insulator for warmth and everything else as well. So basically, as you said, Matt, most people, these days will basically start off 3,000 or 2,000 calorie diet, or a bit higher, a bit lower, whatever that number may be, and then all of a sudden they have it. They have it, and then all of a sudden you've got 1,500 calories you're dealing with. And as you see, the homeostasis sets, and you've got nowhere to go. You'll lose a bit of weight, absolutely. You lose some kilos, but then it stops.
And a lot of that weight loss, let's be honest, is just depleting glycogen out of the muscle tissues, out of the liver. Not actually what you want to do. No. Like, you don't want to reduce the glycogen in your muscle. You don't want to become depleted. You want to lose body fat. And so it's about giving your body the appropriate energy that it needs, but allowing it to be in a deficit sufficiently to lose weight in a sustainable fashion. And that's why we're not a fan of fad diets. We're not a fan of these, 8-week style challenges where people basically just deplete their calories, increase their activity, and big shock, they lose 10 kilos over 8 weeks, but it just goes straight back on. And it's about that sustainable lifestyle.
Exactly. And a lot of people do keto. Keto's a big one where they cut a macro out, they cut their carbs out, right? I mean, can you cut your carbs out for your life?
Exactly. It's not sustainable. It's something we've all done, we've all used. I mean, I've used keto for no more than 3 weeks leading into a comp prep. And, all I'm craving at the end of that 3 weeks is my carb up the night before the show, and I'm pretty sick of carbs after it. But, the fact is that our bodies actually use carbohydrates as the most efficient source of energy. So neither of us are fans of keto.
No.
We're really not. And okay, people who are huge advocates of keto will probably want to slap us for saying that, but I've never prepared a diet plan for anybody that cuts out carbohydrates altogether.
And I think we've done it ourselves, right? We've taken fat out, we've taken carb out, we've tried it all, and for me, over nearly 2 decades now, the best results I've ever got in getting lean, and for the competitions back in the day, getting to like that sub 5, sub 4, sub 3 category. Only time I actually reduced carbs to, I'd say, a mere nil, I've never actually taken carbs out, was when I was that low.
That final few stages where you were trying to shred out that
week
last
or two, maybe.
And you're as weak as a kitten.
So for the general person, that's just on a weight loss journey, they don't need to cut out carbohydrates. So it's a big thing that we always talk about with all our clients and all the people we help, is you don't need to cut out a macro. The macros are there for a reason. Your protein, your fats, your carbs, they all have a purpose. So why don't you just balance them and utilize them for your individual goals?
Well, we crave carbohydrates for a reason. Our body craves them because they're an efficient source of energy.
Correct.
You can't train effectively without them. I know a lot of people preach on and on about true keto, but I've never met anybody who's sustained it all their lives.
No, you can't, because keto will work, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. And then all of a sudden you've got hormone issues, your adipose tissue, your fat cells go up, immunity goes down, mental function goes down. So it's a very short term, and that's why a lot of these challenges use keto, is because they, it's a quick fix. They know that the customer, remember, is going to get results, but there's no post recovery from that. And it's just not something that we advocate, over and over again.
So I think one thing we can agree on, whether you believe in keto or whether you're more into your traditional styles of diet, is that protein is really the keystone of any diet plan. But you've got to use protein intelligently. You've got to understand that not all proteins are created equally. So, you've got crappy proteins like your ham and things like that. And then you've got better quality proteins like chicken, but chicken thigh is different to chicken breast in terms of the macronutrient profiles. And you've got oily fish like salmon, which is rich in your omega fats.
Yes.
And then, beyond that, you get into your protein powders, whether it's a whey protein powder or a collagen protein powder. So the list really goes on. But protein is kind of considered a cornerstone of the diet.
Well, that's the base of it, isn't it? That's where you build everything around.
That's how you produce your amino acids, your muscles recover, your muscles grow as a base of their recovery, and so on.
So you have, individual has a certain amount of calories that we work with. The first thing we work out is how much protein they need. And then, as you said, we've got to choose the best source of protein for that individual. Some may can't have meat, so we have to work out other sources of protein, like protein shakes, like your collagen, etc.
Or even, vegans with their plant-based. So then you're into your plant-based proteins, your pea protein isolates, and so on.
Exactly. So we start that base off. So we want to make sure your body feels safe, and the body feels safe with adequate amount of protein. And that should never really decrease beyond 1.5 to 2 grams per kilo body weight of the individual.
There's that kind of general ratio.
And then we look at your fats and carbs after it. And obviously, the law of thermodynamics is about calories in, calories out. But we want to make sure the calories that we have to work with are the ones that are going to best suit the individual. Because you could work off, 3,000 calories, I might only need 2. So it's all individualized. So these big generic diets everyone gets, that's why they all fail, is because they're not individualized. It's just commercialized.
And that's a big thing. And people having to understand their own bodies and actually start to take ownership of the process themselves. No PT, dietitian, or anybody is ever going to be as invested in understanding your body as you are going to be invested in understanding your own body and seeing the results for yourself. You have to be the number one person responsible for your own weight loss and starting to understand different ways that your body responds to different carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and so on. And
looking at it from a long-term point of view.
What's sustainable? Don't go into it saying, I'm never going to have a cheat meal. It's not realistic.
I hear about that so much, talking to clients and people, and the coaches and PTs, I guess, they don't give them any cheat meals, or they don't give them any refeeds, or whatever you want to call it. And that's a big no-no, guys. So, you can't eat the same food at the same ratio continuously and expect to lose body fat week after week. And then what they do is they will just chuck in another hour of cardio, or they'll take out more calories.
Or they binge. Then the client binges because, all they're doing is they're just being depleted more and more and more. it's just not healthy. So, so dairy is one of those things that I don't really think has a place in most diets. It's, the number one way that I sort of tell people right from the start is that if you want to lose weight, is pretty much cut down dairy or minimize the amount of dairy in your diet.
Yes.
And nowadays, if you go to Ben & Jerry's, they've got vegan ice creams. You can have almond, macadamia, oat milk in your coffee. Oat milk, you've got to kind of watch for the carbs, but there are a lot of substitute milks out there which are non-dairy. So, there's because of the whole vegan market, the vegan market's huge and they can't have dairy, of course. And so, I think that, that's one thing that people can actually do very quickly in their diet. But having an awareness of that, some people aren't very sensitive to dairy. They can have a lot of it and it has no effect on them. And why cut it out of your diet if you don't have to?
Yeah, absolutely. Some people can absorb dairy really well. Some people can absorb carbs really well. Like you absorb sugar like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Give you a bit of chips and you bloat.
Yeah.
It's just so many variables. And what we're trying to say is, you can't, Matt can't do the same diet I can. I can't do the same diet Matt can. It has to be individualized, but there's key principles that we look for. And that's setting up the diet so it's based around protecting your body. So your hormone levels are protected. You can't just starve yourself of calories and certain fats and things like that. And then making sure your output is sufficient to the amount that's going in, so your calories in, calories out as well. Touching on hormones, we see so much damage done these days because of diets given to them were just not adequate for the individual.
Yeah, so inadequate in terms of calories, inadequate in terms of the micronutrient profiles and the macronutrient profiles on the diet. It's a problem. One of the things that, is one of those issues with a lot of the online PTs now is they just punch out the same platform for everybody. Even training in the gym, we all carry injuries the older we get. Like I always joke with my kids, I don't have a right and a left knee. I have a bad knee and a good knee, and I have a bad shoulder and a good shoulder. As you get older, your body does start to break down a little bit and you have to train around it. So like for me, I can't do any overhead shoulder press. I just can't do it. Yep. You have problems with your chest because of the tear in your pec. So you have to do chest day in a particular way to work around your injury.
Absolutely.
And the problem is with these off-the-shelf templated plans, be they diet or exercise plans, they're not tailored to the individual. Now, everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is, with an injury in the gym, you work around it because it hurts. Yeah. You're not going to go in and start doing the same thing over and over again if it hurts. You're going to stop because you feel pain. The problem with diets are when they're template diets, if the diet's actually doing you damage, it's a lot slower and it's a lot more insidious in terms of how it actually affects you. Yeah. And the reason we go on about diet so much when it comes to fat loss, because, bringing it back to what this video is about, is that diet is the majority of the battle.
Yeah. So what happens when we've got the person's diet right, but they're still not losing body fat?
No, it depends again on the person.
Yeah.
Again, we can't even give a one-size-fits-all answer to
exactly.
that.
I think a big component of it is gut health.
Yeah, gut health's huge because if we've got their diet on point, so say we know somebody's eating the precise ratio of fats, carbs, and proteins that's perfect for them, or at least as close as we can get it, then you're kind of like, well, absorption is the next thing that you look at, and that comes into your gut health.
Yep, and all science, it's coming back to everything starts at our gut. Your two forms of your microbiome, so the two families. You've got your firmicutes and your bacteroidetes, right? And most of us, the firmicutes, the bad ones,
and we have excess because firmicutes basically breed like crazy in sugar-rich environments, and what's our modern diet? Sugar-rich.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter how much good food you're putting in. If you've got microbiome that's not eating it, you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, when we cater diets and plans, we basically start off by looking at the individual's microbiome, getting that all sorted, and then the fat loss just flows nicely from there. So,
and then you get other things like candida, which starts to propagate in sugar-rich environments. Candida has the problem where how it propagates, it kills off healthy bacteria in the process as well. Once candida gets out of hand, that starts to influence estrogen levels. Estrogen levels can go up, so fat storage goes up with estrogen levels going up. So it just gets into this vicious cycle. So, when it comes back to the first principles of supplementation for weight loss, is you need to be looking at healthy gut practices, and using a modbiotic is by far the most effective method. You don't want to be using pre or probiotics.
No.
All that is like having fertilizer on weeds and
Correct.
hoping that they die. It's
Correct.
just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So using a modbiotic is the way to go.
Absolutely. Now we get your gut microbiome sorted, then we get your macronutrient profile sorted, and you're basically leading on to a diet or a food plan which you can continuously use. And you've got to have those, I'll emphasize again, you've got to have those refeed days. You've got to have those cheat days, what do you want to call them, because we're always trying to, shock the system. We're always trying to trick our brain into thinking, how are we going to release fat as energy?
And it's creating a sustainable lifestyle as well. So, the cheat days for me aren't just about having, to shock the system, which it does help. You actually lose weight after having a refeed.
Absolutely.
But it's about a sustainable lifestyle. Like I do my big cheat day every Friday evening when I watch a movie with the kids and things. And I do that because I don't want to be sitting there while the kids are trying to enjoy a movie with me and daddy's munching on a celery stick or something. It just ruins the experience for everybody. So, it's about making, choices that work around your life.
Exactly. So, there's so much to weight loss. You can't just jump on a diet, jump on an next bandwagon and expect you to lose weight and keep it off is the key thing. And then we look at products like, when we developed 1510, once you've got your microbiome, your macronutrients and your diet, and everything else sorted, your training sorted, we look at what else can enhance the effect. What else can I use to make my life better?
Yeah.
Right.
And for me, that's like a fat burner like 1510
yes.
Or ICA.
Yes, 100%.
Because that's going to be disposing of your glucose and assist with that glucose disposal, which is going to assist with the fat loss.
Exactly. So there's stages, guys, which you really need to think about. So don't jump on a bandwagon. Look at yourself, look at your goals as an individual, and then we cater it towards that.
Yeah, so developing that balanced diet plan.
Yep.
Supplemented them with exercise and then finally supplementation, because you've got to have all of those elements in unison, and supplements is one you can largely do without at some stages, like in the initial stages, and if you're not worried about accelerating it and you're playing the long game, then just diet and exercise. And we always recommend that to everybody, is get your diet and exercise right first. We will never sell someone a tub of protein powder until we know that they're getting in enough healthy protein from meat sources or from vegetable sources if they're a vegan. Yeah. But we make sure that they're getting the appropriate protein in first, and then the protein comes as a supplement. It's not a pillar. It's not the foundation. The same with a fat burner. It's not going to make you lose weight alone, but it will accelerate your weight loss and help you with your energy levels if you're in a depleted state. So it assists and it supplements into your overall diet.
Exactly. It makes your life easier.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So, everybody kind of forgets that these things are supplements. They're about optimizing and maximizing, not about doing it for you.
Exactly.
No fat burner will do it for you. You can't continue to eat a poor diet and take a fat burner and think anything's going to happen.
No, you can't. So basically, you can go to the gyms. For instance, you can jump on a treadmill for 45 minutes and burn 600 to 700 calories. You can chuck in a fat burner, a thermogenic like 1510, and all of a sudden you're burning 800 calories. Yeah. So it's not doing it for you, it's just making sure you're doing the most and getting more efficient out of your training.
I think like you always said to me, like, not to sound bogan, but kind of like a turbo on a car. It just makes it go a little bit faster.
Yeah, you still got to do the work.
Yeah. But you've still got to have the core engine doing the work.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's how we look at fat loss, guys, and weight loss. Obviously, we can go into a more detail, but that's your fundamentals, your basics of what we believe.
Yeah. So, beware of template plans. Yep. Focus on it yourself. You might need some help from the start, but be really careful of the sources that you're using. But you have to take ownership of it yourself and understanding your diet yourself. And there is a wealth of information out there on the internet. Now, you've got to be careful because a lot of it's garbage, but generally there are some really well-accepted articles out there which you can refer to and get information from to give yourself a good basis for a diet, you know. But if you're eating your greens And if you're eating good, clean carbohydrates, good, clean proteins, and you're supplementing in healthy fats from nuts, you know, like you've always said to me, nobody gets fat off chicken and rice.
Exactly.
You know, so as long as you've got those healthy oils in there as well, on top of that sort of chicken and rice thing, you know you're going to lose weight.
Exactly.
You know, but it's about doing it healthy and sustainably. So we don't want people going out there and just starting chicken, rice, and almond diets or something like that.
Exactly. And you want to enjoy it as well. Like it's all about long term.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, sacrifice eating the foods you like. The weight loss journey doesn't have to be hard and awful. It can be just sustainable. It's hard, but it's sustainable for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So
because it's about the long game. It's not about just looking good in a month's time. It's about the long game and developing healthy lifestyle practices into the future.
Yeah, like a lot of people say, just to close this up, is how do we get away? People see me eating Snickers. I love my Snickers, peanut slabs. I'll eat what I want, but my body fat doesn't really change.
Yeah,
right. But it's taking me a long time to develop my metabolism to that rate and do the other things more efficiently for me able to do that.
And let's be honest, like both people say that to both of us. Like people will often, catch us grabbing some cheeky fried chicken and chips or something like that. Well, that happens more than every now and then. But, people will be like, how can you get away with eating that sort of stuff? And our body fat does fluctuate, but it fluctuates within a range that we've got it at. And then we know when we need to tighten stuff up for a few weeks and then we can relax it again. So that it takes a lot of time to get to the point where you can almost eat with impunity. But, we kind of have that, 80-20 rule. Everybody says 80-20 rule. We don't hesitate to go out for a burger with the boys and have chips. Ironically, we order a no sugar Coke, so I'm not sure how that works when we then go and have ice cream afterwards. But we're trying. We're trying.
Yeah.
But it's about that lifestyle balance. But if one of us was prepping for a show, none of that would be happening. It'd be focus time.
Correct.
So it's just about having a healthy overall balance to your lifestyle and not sort of turning life into a form of purgatory.
No, exactly.
Awesome. Well, bit of a ramble, bit of a rant from both of us talking around sort of weight loss and fat loss in general. But we hope people got some interesting information from that. Cheers, guys.